Come on, man.
It's
Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get into. Welcome to SDH AM Freestyle Friday. John here, you there. Let's see. Hour number 2 was today. What hour number 2 traditionally is yesterday, but we were kind of busy. Nino Torres from GOLTV is going to join us coming in fully loaded at 10 o'clock. Niko Moreno is going to join us at 10:30 to look at everything MLS, including the press conference from the Board of Governors meeting yesterday, all the new rule changes, and we'll kind of take a look back at round number 1, especially what's going on in Seattle, early thoughts there, and we'll put a bow on the weekend, get you ready in hour number 2 for watching anything and everything going on. Hour number 1. We got to get into CONCACAF from last night. We go into the World Cup qualifiers. We'll get into all that kind of stuff because it sets up match day last in CONCACAF, and there will be plenty to watch next Tuesday. I'm not kidding. It's going to be the metric-ish ton to watch on Tuesday when it comes to CONCACAF because you got folks chasing after one another within range of each other. All the combinations, permutations are going to be there, but we'll go back and look at what happened yesterday in CONCACAF, Europe, and Africa. We now know that DR Congo is going to be in the Intercontinental Extravaganza to try to get into the tournament after their result yesterday. So we'll get into all of that. Also, U17s are going on right now. For the United States in the knockouts, that is at 10:45. So we'll have a bit toward the end of the show to kind of keep an eye on with the matchup with Morocco, round of 32. Right now, the game's in progress. Zambia and Mali are tied at 1 with about 20 to go. Portugal leads Belgium with about 15 to go. Switzerland, Egypt just started the second half. Switzerland's leading 2-0. France is leading Colombia by the score of 1-0. That one is halfway through the 37th. 9:45, Argentina and Mexico. That one's on Telemundo. Ireland and Canada, that's at 10:15. U.S. and Morocco's at 10:45. Brazil and Paraguay, 10:45. Half of your round of 32s are today. The other half are tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that toward the end of the show when it comes to the U.S., but everything else as we go. Speaking of that, we had a special request this morning, and it gives us a chance to catch up on the men's national team and the November Thanksgiving window, where we might give thanks for yet another roster with imagination. And when this is where we bring in Bart Keeler, who is sporting his WBGV colors on a Friday as he gets ready for college football. Hi, Bart. I need your sound. I need to hear you.
Actually, John, I'm giving thanks for a win in the backyard brawl in hoops last night as WVU knocked off Pitt. So that's what I'm giving thanks for.
Right.
But we do have a lot of U.S. men's national teams, plurals,
Yes.
action coming up this weekend, John, starting, as you mentioned, at 10:45 this morning. Another knockout round match against Morocco for a youth national team.
To me, it's kind of like
how does this keep happening?
Well, to me, it's kind of like the dudes that sit in the room for the NCAA tournament and they try to figure out basketball and they'll go, well, Indiana and Kentucky in round number 2. You know, it's they'll try. Oh, no, that wasn't planned. We weren't trying anything like that at all. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How'd you do? How'd you do? So, yeah, Morocco is lying in wait at 10:45. We'll keep an eye on that and the other U17s. But what is on your mind with the other U's and the other NTs that are going on, sir?
Well, John, as you know, Miguel Almiron is going to be playing a soccer game tomorrow night, and that game will be played against the U.S. men's national team.
Yes, I have heard of this. I have heard of this Miguel Almiron person. Yes.
Don, these are two very interesting friendlies for the U.S. men. I think Paraguay, if you're going to be objective and look at data and stats and rankings, they are a weaker team than the U.S., but they present a big problem in that they love to play defense in a tenacious manner. They're well-balanced, too. I mean, I know their offense doesn't get a whole lot of credit, but 14 goals for 10 against in the qualifying rounds. So that's a pretty balanced team. The U.S. has struggled to break down, I don't want to call them a low block, but, defensively...
They're a speed bump
teams. Defensively compact teams.
Okay.
Yeah. teams that have multiple rows of speed bumps, and then they somehow also have the feature where if you drive backwards, the tire pops. So
Yeah.
they are a tenaciously defending team, and that is going to be a problem for this team, especially when you look at the fact that they are down their most creative player in Christian Pulisic. Maybe Gio Reyna is your most creative player here, but is he going to play? Is the question. And then you're also down Tim Weah, no Alex Dejas, no Jedi Robinson as well, no Tyler Adams, which I think will be a problem as
So
well
what's your
because
point,
if you're
Bart?
talking about a Paraguay team that loves to, sorry, my point is if
It's
you've got
like
a Paraguay
all of
team
these things you're
that
talking about, I'm going. So it's all of this and this and this. So come on. So what's your point, Bart? You keep.
if you're looking at a team in Paraguay that loves to sit and counter,
Mhm.
you're going to be unable to create a lot going forward, and you're missing your best defensive midfielder. That's
Yeah.
a problem for the U.S. men in this game against Paraguay.
What kind of a lineup would you anticipate if you were trying to think of a starting 11 out of your hat with all of these
Yeah.
absences and all the folks that are in, including 4 keepers, which adds to the Palace intrigue as well? What kind of a lineup are you anticipating here?
Palace intrigue is an interesting way to put that, considering one of our goalkeepers is reportedly maybe training with Crystal Palace. Who knows? I will say, and this will come out on episode 131 when I get it to you this morning.
There you go.
I'd love to see Serginho Dest on the left in either one of these friendlies, especially, and Pochettino did hint at this in his press conference when he announced the roster last week. We have yet to get his match day one presser, so we'll be waiting for that today. But no Jedi Robinson, and it has become a little bit of a concern for the national team coaching staff. And I think partly that's just being smart. The dude hasn't played a whole lot of soccer at all since his surgery to clean up an injury that he dealt with all last year. I think the solution is you put Serginho Dest on the left side. It gives you that creative attack going forward on the left. I don't love Dest and Pulisic on the same side because they like to do a lot of the same things, but I would like to see it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
You also now have coming back into camp Joe Scally, who is a very reliable defensively right back, who also can play as a right center backish player. And we know that Pochettino has experimented with that 3-back. Now, I don't know, John, that's to talk about lineup. I don't know if we'll see a 3 center back system against Paraguay. They do play with a little bit more of a traditional 4-back line. And Pochettino has tried to mirror teams who play a 3-back with his 3-back. So I don't know if we'll see that tomorrow because Paraguay doesn't really play that way. That said, I still think a Serginho Dest on the left side would be an interesting wrinkle to see in all of this. Just that's my only real lineup thought because everything else is pretty uncertain, John. Again, we're missing a lot of guys, and who knows who during this week has proven that they deserve a starting chance. I mean, look, Flo Balogun's probably going to start up top. There you go. There's another lock, I would imagine. And old man Tim Ream will probably be starting in the back line, and Matt Freese will be in goal.
Okay.
But all the other positions are pretty much up for grabs. We truly just don't have a good idea of where these guys fall in the pecking order when you move some pieces around and take some pieces away.
So then let me ask it this way. Whom in this group are you the most intrigued by their A selection and B possibility of playing time in these 2 matches?
Well, I'm not going to say the obvious answer because the obvious answer is Gio Reyna. And I think the reality is Gio will probably be training a lot this week,
Yeah.
probably not doing a whole lot of playing. So my next answer is Joe Scally because he's the guy who has been brought back in who I think, again, being objective, looking at it from where the dude plays on a week in and week out basis, he's probably your best option at right back whose name is not Serginho Dest. However, he is not a real attacking fullback. And that is where I do think that guys like Alex Freeman and even Tim Weah have looked possibly more enticing to Pochettino at that right-sided position than Scally. However, I think again you look past in the past windows, you did have a center back. We had Tristan Blackman in September, and Miles Robinson in October play as a right-sided, basically fullback. The way they were kind of playing, again, not quite the same system or formation, but I think that's a position Joe Scally can cover very well, especially if you're playing more of a traditional flat, well, not flat, four defensive back system. That might be where Joe Scally can come in handy.
So then the questions that you had about this group coming into this particular turkey camp, what questions did you have about selection? Understanding that teams in Europe want to protect their players, that you have the stars that you don't want to bring in for these two matches and all this kind of stuff. Taking the injuries and the teams overseas that want to keep their top flight players that could be a part of something like this. Who was it that intrigued you the most? And you're sitting there going, well, why is this person here? Other than having their tires proverbially kicked when it comes to how they can integrate in a situation.
Well, first, as my partner in crime on the podcast, Thomas, aka US Keeper, aka the greatest historian on USMNT Twitter, says, why can't our national team coach call up his top selection of players if they're all healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Why not, John? So that's the big question, first off.
Yeah.
Then we get into the fact that they're not here. And the real question comes to two positions, I think. First is center back. We do not have Chris Richards, who is the number one. That's your dude. Well, I guess number two,
and Richards has evolved into that,
he has.
That dude.
He's a guy that a lot of fans want to see as the captain. He truly is, and I think he's become a leader on this team on the field and off. I do again think Tim Ream will be starting because he has started a lot next to Richards and seems to be the second choice center back. John, I don't know if that's the best course of action. Again, I just keep wondering. The dude is older than me, and I played two small-sided soccer games last night. My hips hurt this morning. So I'm just wondering when Father Time does catch up for Tim Ream. So the center back position is going to be interesting. I'm curious if we see McKenzie and Robinson. I don't know if we'll see Trusty for sure, but there's potential there. The next position is the one immediately in front of that on the field, and that's defensive midfield.
Right.
Again, no Tyler Adams. So that rock isn't there. Now, we saw Morris and Tessman play last camp. I think most people say they were up and down. Can they, and I think I said this from game to game last camp, so now we're going game to game, camp to camp.
Yeah.
Can they show improvement? Because there is a spot right now as Tyler Adams backup, or even a guy who plays next to Tyler Adams, depending on the system. Both of these guys are playing for that spot,
right?
Especially with Johnny Cardoso injured and having never really looked good for the national team. So that defensive midfield position of Morris and Tessman that's a position to watch. Now, to wrap that up, John, I just mentioned your center back as a position of question, and your defensive midfield as a position of question. That leaves me concerned for this team's defensive abilities against two teams who love to get going when they get the ball. Let's just put it that way. In Paraguay and Uruguay. Uruguay loves, John, they present a whole different ball of wax to challenge. The Bielcistas are flying. So those two positions being question marks means some angst as we head into these games when we look at the defensive side of the ball.
Yes, this particular cycle brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. Keeper. Four guys in camp right now. Matt Freese looks like he's your number one. And then you get into the whole notion of, okay, NYC season is over. Matt's your number one. How many minutes do you give Matt? Who else gets shown? what are you looking at between the sticks? Is it just going to be, looking at 3 of them in practice situations,
Yep.
or is it going to be 40? Is it going to be 45 minutes apiece for these 2 matches?
No, I do not foresee that, John. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if Pochettino does give a game to one of the other dudes
Mhm.
just to see if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But I don't think that is a real tryout for the number one unless Matt Freese does not play well.
Mhm.
I think right now the number one jersey is Matt Freese, and that is another concerning feature. As again, my partner Thomas loves to point out, he has never played a World Cup qualifier, which is the first time that a U.S. goalkeeper will have been able to really say that at a World Cup. Now, does that mean anything? Maybe not. But I think the lack of actual competitive games is concerning. He did get the Gold Cup, which is nice, but that's different, man. Playing
Yeah.
Haiti is different than playing Paraguay, is different than playing Uruguay. He's grown a lot, and I think he has earned the number one spot. That doesn't mean I'm not still concerned, but I don't think any of the other guys are really challenging him right now. That said, we could see one of them get a game. Again, it could just be to see, well, who can I rely on, or can I rely on you if I have to?
Yeah. Who can benefit the most in this camp that might not have been on a radar coming into this camp? Is there anybody that could
Well,
sit there, because
I,
is there a fresh name or a name that hasn't been there a lot in camps that could benefit from this and be that next Chris Richards in the sense of, oh, okay, if I've got a strong camp here in these 2 and I haven't really, gotten
well,
the
if you're talking a fresh face, I
yeah.
mean, I think he's not fresh, but Joe Scally can really do a lot to kind of reconstruct his trust with Pochettino.
Mhm.
To that end, also his teammate at Gladbach, I think Gio Reyna can do a lot to show that to Mauricio Pochettino that he is able to actually play soccer, which is still a question, John.
Wow.
Look, I mean, if you want a guy who's played less soccer than Steven Gregerson, look no further than Gio Reyna. And
Yeah,
so,
well, but it's almost 2 separate reasons too. One is when you're playing and that it's cause and effect,
uh,
and the other's between the ears. So, I mean,
well, I think it's also a little bit between the knee and the hip bone as well, because his hamstrings seem to not be able to work all that well anymore.
true.
So I think it's easy to say those two guys, but the reality is everyone else has been here before, kinda.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of new. Um, I don't think Tim Tillman is really a factor. I think he was. Now, I think it's curious that he was called in, but I think he was called in because he's here in the States and was able to get on a flight or drive. I don't know what his air traffic controller situation was out in LA,
Sure.
but I think that is more because he just happens to be a domestic player who was available and answered the phone call. I don't think that is anything truly revolutionary.
Yeah.
So I am just going to say the easy answer of Gio and Joe, but mainly because they've had relationships that they've kind of, especially with Joe Scally, apparently has kind of hurt a relationship with Mauricio Pochettino. And this is a camp to get that trust back and show the coaching staff
Mhm.
that he can do what's asked of them and I guess act appropriately in camp if you believe any of the rumors that have been flying around about golf carts or not.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not about the X's and O's; it's about the Geos and Joes, I guess. All right. So what's up with episode 131? See, I got you, didn't I?
Oh, John.
And
You will receive this episode soon because I was editing it this morning.
there you go.
And it should hopefully then post whenever you feel the need to post it today.
It'll be about noon.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a new 3D coming out. Drew Dickinson finally has his computer repaired, and so you get a new 3D. You get a new US for Soccer
We love
POD.
it.
131. You'll get our stuff chopped up as well, and we'll get you ready for the weekend. Bart, go ahead and cut the promo where folks can watch, listen, and be a part of the Soccer for US POD experience, if you would, sir.
Well, I'll break a little bit of news. It's not that news, but Cooper Sanchez will start in today's game against Morocco. So
There you go.
Cooper Sanchez, the Atlanta United product,
Right on.
starting in the knockout round game for the U.S. men's U17s.
Dig it.
So 131 will come out today, John. We're talking about these two friendlies and the squad selection. So give that a listen when it posts later today.
What he said. Bart Keeler, Soccer for US POD. Great to catch up with you on a bunch of different things because it is all kinds of red, white, and blue chaos right now with like multiple tournaments going on, multiple things.
And like another one coming up really soon, and then
Yes. And you've got the Deaf Olympics going on with the extendeds over in Japan to add to all of that.
Curling national team trials as well. I've been everywhere, John.
It's all over the place. Yes, absolutely true. Be safe, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Bye, y'all.
There goes Bart on a Friday, and Bart breaking down everything that's going on. Bart mentioned the starting 11 for the U.S. and the U17s. Let's go over the rest of it. Aiden Stokes, Gio Villa, Pedro Guimaraes, Christopher Cups is going to wear the captain's armband. Kevin Sullivan, Nemfasha Berkemas, Jude Terry, Matisse Albert, Cooper Sanchez, Julian Hall, and Enrique Martinez, which means to me I need to find out what happened with the red card in. So did they even address it? The red card in the last match for Sekiris does not appear to have been addressed, or at least not publicly anyway. So that's what you got going up against Morocco right now, coming up in a bit. So the U17 roster. So I'm going back in the timeline and I'm trying to see if, well, hang on. Let me see if USYNT Sekiris red card. Let me see if it was even looked at. Mateo Sekiris. Okay, it'd be good if I could spell Sekiris. Okay, red card issued. Matisse Albert goal. Does not appear that the Mateo Sekiris red was we don't know if it was reviewed. We just know that there was no flip of a decision when it comes to the Mateo Sekiris red. So it looks like Mateo Sekiris will not be available today in the matchup against Morocco. And that red was nuts. Yeah. And so let me, David, to your point, let me text Bart real quick just to get his thoughts on Twitter. People are asking about thoughts on the Sekiris, if I could spell Sekiris, fat fingers, Sekiris red at U17. So hang on. Since we're kind of in the middle of stuff here, let's see. All right, so I have the question posed to Bart about the Sekiris red, which was ridiculous. So we'll see what Bart has to say about the Sekiris red. Doesn't look like it was appealed, or if it was, we weren't told about it. And also, obviously, apparent. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at that roster. I'm looking at least the starting 11 today. So the USYNT starting 11 does not include Niko Sekiris. And we see if we can find the roster for today. Do we have the starting, or do we have the lineups? Overview, related matches, submit prediction. See, this is the one thing that you're trying to sit there and fish for information, and sometimes it's not available for you. So USYNT 18 versus Morocco. If I could spell Morocco. So we've gone down this particular. That's U18. So U18. All right. So let's see if Flash Score has the actual rosters. No, they don't, because that's an old score. And so it's the U17s anyway. So, all right. So US preview, all or nothing, group standings, cup roster, first meeting at the U17 World Cup. Atlas Lions become familiar with them. Atlas Lions 4-0 in the quarters last month, 3-1 win against U.S. in the quarters in the U20s in Chile. Those meetings still fresh. Friday's the two sides will meet in the U17 World Cup. Record-breaking performance, 24 years in the making. Kevin Sullivan, Berkemas, Morocco, third overall, looking at the notes. And there is about all of the notes, but there's nothing about the Sekiris red. Okay, so there's nothing on the Sekiris red in the game notes leading into this. It is going to be on Universo and Peacock, by the way. So it's Universo and Peacock, not FS2. So it's going to be Universo and Peacock, but I have yet to see anything involving the Securus red. Bart says, I guess they thought the follow-through was higher than the ankle, but I'm a bit surprised that it was elevated from a yellow to a red, considering he did win the ball cleanly at the start of the tackle. So that's Bart's notes on the Securus red. I'm still trying to find, might help if I, so U17. So, yeah, and if you go back and you watch the match in and of itself, even the play-by-play guy was shocked that it was to the level that it was, that it was pulled back and that it was given as a red card. That was shocking to even the play-by-play guy at the time. The referee today is Roberto Perez Gutierrez, and he averages a little over 4 yellows a match, and he does give reds. He's given up 0.38 red cards per match as well. Check this out. All right. We get to talk playoffs. We get to talk playoffs with people. And I've got to ask an incredibly self-serving question to start things off with our friend Michael Parkhurst here, our MIT, our mogul in training. See, now you got the banner over the shoulder. I got that. I like that. By the way, I have a new addition here to the back. It is your inaugural season stadium scarf. It is right here. I have added that to the stacks, sir.
I mean, amazing, John.
Well, you know me. I was going to sit there and I was going to ask if there was any of the 2024 gear left available, but it's no longer in the store because I was going to buy that out and give it out for Festivus this year.
You know what? Next time I'm up there, I'll try and find out.
Yeah, see if they're like in any boxes in the back buried someplace because any chance I have to rep our MIT, I'm going to do it. And well, and I also, by the way, picked up the one of the T-shirts as well, just to add. And I know that the boss is going to wear that long before I will. I have a chance to wear it anyway. But yeah,
naturally,
we added the 2025 inaugural stadium season scarf over here to add to what's going on.
I love it.
I know that there's absolutely nothing going on to talk about these days, but I do want to start with playoffs.
Playoffs?
Exactly. All right, Mora. You've got another run at another title again for Rhode Island FC. Big win. You went to kicks from the spot. You go through at Patriots Point. You're still on the road. By the way, are you going to continue your trend and head to that match since you did last time, I believe?
I will be there.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not get to North Carolina last weekend. I was in Charleston for the first one, but I will make the 3-hour trek over to Pittsburgh tomorrow and check that one out.
See, now this is the fun part. And when you're going up against a team like Pittsburgh, traditionally, when you've got a guy like Bob Lilly, when he was in charge, it was defense first and then yell at your team in the darkness of a stadium an hour and a half after the match is over, regardless of result. But, they have taken a bit of a different tack now with Lilly on leave, and now they're scoring goals. And I am intrigued because this one could have a lot of goals attached to it on a bit of a wonky surface, I'll call it, at Highmark, where the turf kind of has a mind of its own, and Pittsburgh has kind of navigated it to their own success over the last couple of years.
I completely agree with you, John. It's one of the toughest places to play in USL because the turf is wonky's a good way to put it. But the ball bounces a lot. The ball sticks on the turf. It's usually windy because it's right there on the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's just usually a little ugly. No other way to put it. I think there's a reason why both their playoff games have been 0-0 all the way to penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to win ugly, and that's what we'll try and do. Sprinkle in some moments of good footy and hope that's enough.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in a situation like this, and I guess this is also kind of a mentoring question, where you go into a situation and you're dealing with things that are out of your control. When you have these conversations about all of these wild cards that can happen on a game day, the home team paints your locker room pink. you get cold water, your timing is off. Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to put the sprinklers on then. Oh, how do you have, when you're talking to mentees about things that are out of their control, not something that's as minute or as tweakish as something like we're talking about in a playoff situation, but when you're talking to your mentees about navigating things out of their own control and focus on what you can control yourself, what are those reminders like when you have those conversations?
It's always just about adjusting, right? We have to be open to adjusting, both in life and on the soccer field, right? You can't be stubborn and say, Matt, no matter what, I'm going to play out of the back because that's what we practice and whatnot. Because if there's 2 inches of snow, or if there's puddles all over the field, if the wind is crazy, sometimes the game just dictates what you need to do, and you need to adapt to it if you want to have success. And usually the teams and the players that adapt quickest are the ones that have success on the day. And so, there's going to be always things that are out of our control, and what can you do with it, right? How can you make the most of it? How can you take advantage of it? And, right, when I say, hey, yeah, it's sticky turf, well, put the ball in behind. There's nothing worse for a defender getting a ball over their head and they don't know is that ball going to check up, or is that ball going to accelerate a little bit. It's so difficult. So put the ball in behind and make it difficult for the defenders. There's just always little things that you can do that depending on what's going on the field or the conditions or whatever, and you just take advantage of those things. No matter what you originally thought you were going to play, the team was going to play, how you trained, right? You just adapt.
And that to me sometimes can be either, to me, it's one of the extremes when it comes to mentoring. Adapting and adaptation can either be one of the easiest things in the world for you, or it can be one of the most rigid things that you've got to try and break down with that wall. Because if you're not wanting to color outside the lines because you have this philosophy and you don't want to get anyone around you either angry, the fact that you're freelancing or whatever, anything like that, I would think that the idea of it's okay to color outside the lines and go away from what we've learned if we have to, it's a little bit different, I would think, than wanting to do it and then having to do it. That idea of trying to do something like that, I think that's a delicate balance in trying to do it, knowing you've got to do it, instead of doing it because you want to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And it's just different ways to view things, like everything. And but if you want to do it, then it's a lot easier to do whatever that is, and you're gonna have more success with it. And that's just the name of the game. And like I said, if you're able to adapt faster than the opponents, you're more likely to have success.
Then let's just say you're a part of a team and you get a new coach, and he's a big name and he means a lot to the team that you're a part of currently, but you might not necessarily have been around when the guy was there before. It's another situation where you're going to have to, regardless of what the guy did before, it's another situation where you as a player on a team have to prove yourself all over again, I would think. Not to 100% proving yourself, because obviously your book is out there and the coach and the staff kind of know where you're coming from, but you've got to prove yourself all over again in the situation. What is that like for a professional athlete? And then what is that like for your mentees when they go up an age group and the coach changes, when they go and they change geography and a coach changes? What's that like, having to navigate proving yourself all over again? And what do you tell your mentees in these situations?
Yeah, I think it's great because it destroys any type of complacency that might exist anywhere, right? Everyone's kind of on somewhat of an even playing surface, and complacency destroys players and teams. And so I always viewed it, even when we got new teammates, especially higher paid teammates, big signings and things, like I always wanted to prove to them, hey, this is who I am as a player, right? You can trust me. Here's what I can do on the ball, right? That's was always a goal of mine. So same thing with a coach, and you have to play to who you are and how do your strengths fit into what they're trying to do. And that's what I had to do with Tata, because I was way more exposed than I ever had been as a center back playing in Tata's system. And so how do I use my strengths, and how do I keep Jeff a little bit closer, and do little things where we're still going to play the way Tata wants to, but how am I going to have success, and how am I going to show well in this system?
When you have those conversations, either with Big Red or with Tata in a situation like that, I mean, how much of give and take is there? Is it my way or the highway? Is it the coach, whomever it is, understanding, hey, I know you want me to do this, but I can also do this, and I'm going to need a little bit of a give and take here as well. I know I can do this to help you out. I understand what you're trying to get me to do, but at the same time, I think that there are other ways that I can help out still working within the framework. Are those give and take conversations ever had?
For sure. For sure. And I think that they're more had with senior players and maybe players that have been on the team, but even at the youth level, I think that there's the opportunity for players to have a little bit of a say of, you're out there on the field, you're seeing what is going on. Yes, the coaches have a feel on the sideline, but you're the one that's dealing with it. And, for me, when I was at Atlanta, we were, in the preseason and doing those things, I'm sitting here thinking like, geez, we're going to get crushed on counterattacks here. We have to be more careful. And, how can we find this balance? And some of it is me adapting, no doubt, and just doing it and dealing with it. There's no doubt about that's part of it. But I also think there's little things where it's like, okay, hey, we can't have both outside center backs going at the same time. Or, hey, if you're in a back four, left back, chill out just a little bit, or tuck inside if you're going to go up and don't stay wide. Like, D mid, can you be a little bit more safe? Little things where it made me a little bit more comfortable and having those conversations with Tata and the group, or it's possible, but also I'm just doing it. And he's probably seeing some of that. And if it's helping the team have success, you're not going to get too much pushback.
Yeah, but I mean, I would also imagine that first time that you do it, there's got to be the first time that you and the guys out there on the pitch do it. I'm sure that was there that moment of like, hey, what the blank are you doing? Or does he let it happen organically and then learn from the lesson and come together and sit there and go, okay, I saw what you did. So what if we did this, this, and this? What's that give and take like when it's done for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's just more, trying to see, hey, am I crazy? Was this the right call? Right? Is he crazy? Right? And just seeing, okay, where's he coming from? What is he trying to get out of this? What am I seeing? What am I trying to get out of it? But also guys on the field, right? Like, okay, Leandro is going to disappear and go in the box and try and score on a cross from our right back.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. How do you adjust, right? Instead of telling him not to, how do you adjust, right? How do you cover for him and figure it out? And, if the coaches are okay with him doing it, then okay, he's going to do it. And then the conversation is like, hey, other guys, when you see this occur, this is what needs to happen, right? How do we balance each other out a little bit? And, it's a give and take.
Is it difficult for a player or an athlete that is the age of your mentee to take those steps and do that kind of stuff these days, because you don't want to rock the boat? And I mean, we don't want to really rock them when we're placed in a situation where, yeah, this is a really cool opportunity for me. You don't want to rock the boat, but at the same time, you want to prove who you are. I mean, are you seeing mentees that you may not necessarily be having conversations with them, but are you seeing mentees that are taking those steps of being aggressive in these new locales or with these new coaches, or are they still in that I don't want to rock the boat mentality and I'm going to let things marinate for a little bit? How many of them dive in and how many of them let it roll for a sec?
Yeah, it's very challenging. Shoot, I played with a lot of pros who had a tough time talking to the coach and telling them things and suggesting things, or or whatnot, right? Even with Berhalter, where it was like, hey, play out of the back, play out of the back, play out of the back. And, I'm out there on the field and thinking, hey, we just played out of the back for 3 straight goal kicks, and all 3 of them just resulted in 3 extra goal kicks because they got opportunities on goal. Can we just kick the freaking ball up to midfield? But as I'm calling that, I can see hesitation from other guys thinking like, oh, this is not what coach wants. And so it's tough. And so, yeah, for younger players, of course, but I think if it comes from a place of curiosity and conversation rather than, on the field screaming type stuff, then it's usually more well received, right? Of, hey, when this happens, coach, what do you think if I can do this, or I could do that, or the team does this? And, that's part of leadership, and that's a big part of leadership. And that's very huge for a younger player to be having those types of conversations with coaches. So usually I think they're well received.
When you were coming up in the sport, how many of those curious and conversational types did you come across, or was it more you in those opportunities that was the more curious and the more conversational?
Yeah, I had a hard, tough coach in high school down at IMG. He was very demanding and very difficult. So a lot of players were scared of him. And but I had a good relationship with him, and I think that again, it's kind of more of I had the ability to do things on the field how I see it because of who I am as a person and the trust that they have in me, and I've proven myself and that type of thing. And so that's where, doing things the right way and being a good teammate and all those things gets you that space, right? If you're a non-trustworthy player, whether that's because of attitude or just inconsistent performances or whatever it is, like, and you do these things on the field that are kind of against what the coach is trying to do, you're not going to get the leeway, right? But I got the leeway. And then if it works out, you continue to get that leeway.
I mean, that's for a coach to have a lot of trust in a younger player. I mean, I would think that speaks just as much about the coach and how the coach is willing to learn in that situation as much as it is for the player and the confidence that the young player has in who they are and what they can be to the collective.
For sure. Absolutely. And not every coach is going to be cool with it, right? I literally just had a call with a mentee who's not getting as much playing time recently. And I said, well, have you talked to the coach? And he said, I tried. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, he just tells me to stop questioning him. And he gets very defensive. And I said, that's unfortunate. You wish that if you're in a mode of conversation and not a mode of trying to be combative, then you'd hope that you could get some information from the coach. But some coaches are not good with communication. Some of them are beaten down due to prior conversations with parents and players that have been combative and mean and things like that. And so I've seen it in my own experience with my high school daughter's softball coach, and just like trying to have random conversation with him when he's around, he's very guarded. And I know that it's because, and I've heard stories of it because it's from previous parents who have been just over the top and annoying, and why is my daughter not playing, and this and that. And so coaches become guarded. And so not every coach is going to be open to conversation, to players trying to do things differently on the field, right? So it's a balance, and you have to try and figure that out a little bit.
I notice in our conversations that P word comes up a lot, parents. And I'm going to phrase the question this way. And I know that we've talked about parents a lot, and to be able to have parents as a topic of conversation, I wish it was less of a conversation. But sadly, these days, I know that it's not. How often do you either in your day-to-day, being a normal person, being an MIT or whatever, or as the one of the grand exalted poobahs at Beyond Goals, do you loop back and have conversations where parents and their interaction ends up getting into that conversation instead of it being just something that pops up every once in a while? it seems like it's a topic of parents and how they're trying to impact their young athlete. It seems like it's coming up a lot more than it should these days, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's always going to pop up for sure. And, we don't address it a ton in our mentoring sessions
Yeah.
with athletes, unless it becomes a real problem, or the athlete themselves is dealing with a lot from parents, and then maybe. But we talk about it every now and then. Like, I made a social media post the other day, like telling parents to, there's some showcases and big tournaments coming up here soon. So, take a look in the mirror and realize, are you helping? Are you hurting? Right? Because if words are coming out of your mouth other than good job, keep going, basically that's it,
Yeah.
then you're not helping, right? Any other words that are coming out of your mouth are not needed during the game. So you're either cheering or you're quiet. And yeah, that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. I mean, unfortunately, it's not. And look, and I'll give you my example. And this is going back into the days of black and white television and movable type and horse-drawn carriages. I played Little League Baseball, and this could also be a generational thing too. I played Little League Baseball, and it was something that my grandfather would take me to. He'd take me to every practice, and he'd be there, and he'd be that guy that was always there. And when I played first base, left-handed first baseman, and I had a coach, and one of those times where you had the pitcher, and the pitcher would look, and he would try to do the snap throw to first and try to get the guy off the base or everything, and just for a quick tag. And that one time that I was looking down at the dirt, trying to, fix what was going on around first base so the umpire could actually see that I would, got there before the tag. Pitcher throws it over, and it goes right past me, goes into the dugout, or goes up the right field foul line. After that play is over, guy advances to second. The coach literally comes out on the field to me, and he says, "It'll be a cold day in hell before you play first base ever again." I mean, literally, that is what he said. And so he said it in front of an entire audience of folks and my teammates and everything. And it was one of those where I almost had the moment from Bad News Bears where the Yankees, Billy, the Yankees pitcher, he's got the ball and he's just going to hang on to it, and it's like, I'm not going to let you have it, and everything around me is going to score. I would venture to say that was an extreme back then. I hope it's an extreme now, but those folks are still out there, whether they are coaches and they're not guarded, or they just, feel like they need to yell in a situation like that to get the point across. That doesn't do anybody any good, but sadly, those folks are still out there these days. And when that messaging is still out, there are those that are going to come in behind it and reinforce those kinds of things when it comes to that kind of messaging. And it's disappointing when you have to deal with these kinds of things.
Oh, totally. Totally. And I literally saw, I think I had mentioned before about like these jokes online about parents and coaches and things, and they're meant to be funny, and I literally just saw one, my Instagram feed showed me, it was a stand-up comedian. He said something like, they say hitting a baseball is the toughest thing to do in sports. Well, I disagree. Being a little leaguer, going 0 for 4 and then getting in the car with dad's a lot tougher, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? Because it's funny, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
And there's a sad reality that a lot of people go through, not only on the field, but then off the field too. Yeah. And I see it. And I think that honestly, from my experience, the parents on the soccer field are worse and the coaches in baseball are worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's where you have, the baseball coach who feels like, it's got to be this way or nothing, or all that, and then the parent. I think the parent these days, once again, they're locked into that idea of living vicariously, pushing buttons, making sure that everything that they've invested can turn into whatever they think it's going to turn into down the line. When national team call up, whatever, those kinds of things. Yeah, and I think to your point, these days, yeah, I am seeing it more from the soccer parent than I am a parent from any other sport, where Yeah, there's still that's the parents squawking a bit, but I think that you end up seeing it more sadly in soccer these days, and it's that once again that's the disappointing part of this. Sorry, I brought up the P word again this morning, man.
It's the C word too. I was scouting a college kid for Rhode Island the other day, and I'm watching a video of his game, and it's at a stadium, and it's kind of quiet at the stadium, and there's a ball played in behind, and it's questionable offside, and I think it was a coach, might have been a parent, I think it was the coach, goes berserk. I mean, you can hear every word he's saying. He is screaming at the linesman. It's just, oh my God, crazy.
Did you see Abby's question here real quick? Is Beyond Goals offering classes for coaches about communicating with players?
Not currently. It's something that we had discussed with a bunch of clubs before they all told us to go pound sand.
Really?
So we maybe do something with Inter Atlanta now that we got a partnership with them. It's not something that we've it's part of the agreement right now, but I do think that could be useful.
Yeah. It's especially just bringing the P word. If you could have a P word communications class too.
Well, we will have a couple things with parents, so that'll be good.
Good. We've kind of discussed it a little bit here this morning, but now that he is officially back, Tata 2.0, what's running through your head now?
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to see him back and the staff back, and I think he'll bring in some new blood. And
his son, I think, is going to be on the staff now too.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He was down in Miami with him, and so yeah, I expect that he'll bring in some new blood to the team. He'll bring in a different culture, a different expectation on the field, style of play, everything. And so, I said on a different interview or something that I think his number one priority is figuring out the DPs and how do you get the best out of them, because that's got to be priority number one, because 2 out of the 3 for sure were not very good last year, and so it's tough to win when you've got that much money in a few players and they're not playing well. So I would expect that happens, because he obviously got the best out of Joseph and Miggy when they were playing together, so hopefully he can do the same with Latte and Miggy.
So when are you leaving to go to Pittsburgh?
Tomorrow afternoon. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not getting there early.
I was gonna say it's not, because it's a 6:30 kick. I didn't know if it was going to be something where you're going to go to Primanti Brothers and bring enough for the team, or.
Yeah, it's actually a busy weekend in Pittsburgh because College game day is there tomorrow.
Yeah,
Pitt versus Notre Dame, and then Pittsburgh's got an NFL game on Sunday. So hotels were actually pretty crazy and expensive and full.
You have to stay out in State College or something, man.
I think there were some people staying out by the airport. So,
wow.
Yeah, so no hotel for us. We'll just go up and back.
Oh, okay. So we anticipate. We know what kind of match you're anticipating, but how nervous are you this time of year, knowing that you're not playing, but you're watching, and everything that you've invested, both emotionally and physically, is going into what you're going to be seeing in Pittsburgh tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I don't know. I was pretty nervous in Charleston just because it wasn't a great season overall, right? We came in 7th and just wasn't great. So, but now things have turned. You win 2 games in the playoffs, now you're in the Eastern Conference Final, and so win or lose, you can look back and say, hey, it was a good season. We were in the top 4. So yeah, I want us to win, no doubt about it. But I don't think I'm going to be crazy nervous. It's if we win, great, and if we didn't, hey, I think it's validates what we're doing and who we are as a club, and so we're still moving in the right direction.
So it's house money for you right now?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, we have some unfinished business, no doubt, in the final.
Yeah, absolutely. And Colorado Springs decided basically to jettison their staff after they only made it into the first round and won a title last year. So patience sometimes is not a virtue, but it needs to be exercised a lot more across the board, whether we're talking coaches, teams, sons, daughters, and mentees and mentors. Did I hear Deacon earlier?
Oh, you did not, because she is in full sleep mode.
Okay.
I mean, she might have moved around and snorted a little bit.
Yeah, because I thought I heard Deacon harumph when there might have been a rotation on the bed.
It could have been.
Yeah, it's like, you hear that. I didn't know if Deacon was rotating or
It's
not.
been a tough morning for her, John. We went for a walk. She had breakfast. Got some socks around the house. It's been a tough morning.
She's cashed out already. It's 10 o'clock on Friday morning. She's cashed out. As always, my friend, great to see you. I'm glad we can blend mentoring and dealing with mentees with the issues of the day and all this kinds of stuff. Enjoy the ride. Be safe getting down to Highmark, and see if somebody can launch a ball actually over the train and into the river. I'm waiting for that moment to happen.
Tell you what, 91st minute, we're winning. I might go down there on the field and try it myself.
That'd be epic. Like I said, just be safe, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
There we go. That's Cap, Michael Parkhurst, and he's got USL Championship on the brain and everything else. It's always great that we catch up with him on the Friday Free Kick and find out what's going on in the lives of Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, and with Michael Parkhurst and with Greg Garza when they are not solving the world's problems. As we always say on Thursdays, we can say it on a Friday. So what show goes from Atlanta to Columbus, Ohio to Lima, Peru? I believe the answer to that you can hang on one finger. One finger. And that's because we're going to Lima, catch up with our buddy Nino Torres, and we go fully loaded. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer Down Here fans on a Friday, huh? Friday Night Lights, early edition here with Soccer Down Here. Nino Torres and Johnny Nelson ready to roll, baby.
Yes, we are. I have your list, as always. I have not seen it, so I don't know what's going on in the brain. I read, we discuss, and that's the beautiful part about this whole segment. Okay, so topic number one. Colina, head of the finals referees committee, is considering scrapping penalty rebounds in open play. They're taking away a little bit of chaos, or at least they're thinking about it.
Why? Why is this? I mean, the ball doesn't leave the pitch. The ball's still alive. The play's still alive. Why are you going to stop it? This is not a penalty shootout. It's different. It's different. There's two different situations. I don't know what's Colina thinking, man. He's pulling his hair while he doesn't hurt to pull. But I think it's a good idea, man. I think it's a good idea. Why not going for the freaking Wenger rule for the offside?
I mean, for me, if you got a problem with offside, then fix the rule. That's how I've always looked at it.
That rule, I think that's most important. That's the
Absolutely.
main rule that we need to fix.
You are absolutely right. It is, if you got an issue with offside, fix the rule. Don't complain about VAR. Don't complain about the computer. Don't complain about what you're seeing. Fix the rule, people.
Yeah. And then we're gonna get a lot of more goals. A lot of more goals, man. Could you imagine? Oh man, it's just every time that I've seen that, every time that I see the freaking semi-automatic rule, and it's driving me crazy. By the way, that is correlated to the next point, the next topic that we're going to talk about it. Every time I've seen that, I'm going crazy, and I just keep thinking about this Wenger rule. Oh, please, the amendment, please, this be the most beautiful amendment in soccer. Please take place. Hopefully, I don't know if it's going to happen next year. Hopefully, so we'll see, man.
Yep. So that leads us into topic number 2. Confirmed, he writes. Brazil will be the first country in South America to use semi-automated offside technology implemented from the first match day of the Brasileiro in 2026. So they're stepping into it, huh?
Yes, sir. And then there's one reason, right? They got the money. They got the money. They got all the money in the world, brother. When you put in $2 billion into the tournament, man. The problem here is that they're gonna be the only ones in South America, and that they can do it. I don't see Argentina doing it. I don't see. Forget about Peru, man. Which just got VAR a couple of years ago. It's gonna be another, I don't know, probably 10 years before we got that semi-automatic offside. But this is Brazil showing off again all their money power. Again, they're proving that they are ahead of every single country in the continent alongside, well, until Mexico. I want to say yeah, MLS is in place. You guys can do it. But by the way, do you have that? Johnny?
We don't have semi-automated. We still have flags and ARs.
Okay. But you might, right? Maybe next year, a couple of they already changed the schedule, so they.
Maybe when you change the schedule, 27, 28, you change the rules and bring in Cyclops. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Are you guys happy about it, Johnny, or not? I know you discussed that yesterday. I was going to bring it in today, but I saw you discussed it yesterday. But
we just kind of went over the basics with it. I mean, I think it benefits when it comes to when you line up with the international calendar. Then you're not either having to do your business too quickly in your own window, or having to wait until the dust settles because you can't do anything. It hurts you right now on the front end and the back end of your windows that you're not matched up in Europe. And then in the summer, you're getting players that by the time your season is over in November, December, they could be playing 18 months straight. And you're seeing a lot of guys who come in the summer transfer window running out of gas. And you're wishing that, it's like there was a reason I brought dude in. And you're risking the guy getting burned out, not having him down the stretch when you need him in all those moments and making sure he's 100% and healthy. I think that it lines up. Now that you've lined up, I think it helps you when it comes to everything financial that's attached.
Yeah, the contracts, because everybody usually they end in the contracts in June 30th. So it's I think it's going to take, the first couple seasons is going to be a madness. But then you gotta get used to it. Everybody's gonna be in place, but I don't know about playing in New England.
Well, but I mean, or
Minnesota or Chicago.
You can always tweak your schedule. I mean, right now Montreal plays their first handful of matches on the road anyway, and they did the math.
There you go.
They did the math where right now when they slide the schedule in 27. 91% of the calendar is still the same.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
it's doable. It's just, it's not about logistics.
Yeah, it's those edges that you've got to look at and sit there and it's like, okay, we're probably going to be starting with the northern teams. We'll probably be starting you at home a little later. You'll have a home run at some point to even it out. You're probably going to be on the road to kick things off. But, you're going to have your gaps. You're going to have the gaps that we've seen in the other leagues, like in Europe and such, where you're not going to be going on in December. You're going to have that winter break. You're going to have the summer break as well. And so it's mid-July through May in 27 and 28. So July 27 through May of 28, you're going to get this. And to me, when they're going to transition with this, and they're calling it right now a sprint season, where mid-February through May of 2027, you're going to have a 14-game, like a little mini schedule. That's going to be chaos.
Oh, yeah.
So just to line things up, you're going to have teams that are going to sit there and try to slam it into fifth gear out of the blocks and try to win this 14-game schedule before the calendar twists and goes to line up with the international calendar. I'm intrigued by it. I'm glad that you're now going to have this as a part of your schedule now. I know that, and everybody's talking about, well, what if you're competing against, Major League Baseball, college football? Look, your audience is going to find you.
Brother, you got 300 million people in your country, man. 300 million. It's a continent, basically. It's a different animal. But I'm so glad that they finally did it because some way, somehow, always since the MLS was created, it kind of got the wrong rules for us. That was a disaster. It was like a different sport, and having a different calendar, it was just everybody. I'm telling you, from this point and from European points of view, look over the shoulder of the MLS because they're Americans. Yeah, they're playing their own thing. They're playing in the summer. Yeah, they're not tough enough. And now you're lining up with the world and. It's a step up for me, from this point of view, it's a step up for the league, and you gotta be in line with FIFA with the entire planet, because this is a global sport. This is not one of the 4 major sports in America.
Well, and for those that may not know your background, when were you in Columbus with the crew?
Scoring the crew since 2010 to 2016.
Okay, so you knew early on when Major League Soccer was 15 years old, basically, that it was about venues and availability most of the time. It wasn't where you had all of these franchises today. It's not like it is with you back home, where you've had your stadium, you've had it forever. You know you can go there. You know you're in control of all the revenue. You can control all the dates. I mean, what? Crew played at the Horseshoe at points. They played before it was
Jesse Owens.
Yeah, so you're playing there, and before you could create historic Crew, you're playing in Columbus on Ohio State University's pitch. That's not a venue you control. You're basically paying Ohio State University. Until you built your own barn, you're at the mercy of everybody else. And now that you have all of the teams in Major League Soccer, I think for the most part, they're in charge of their own barns. They can do whatever they want to do now. And now that everybody's there, you can get in line with everybody else and not worry about, oh, crap, I'm having to go up against a rock concert from the Songs of the 80s tour that is taking over the Horseshoe, and I can't have you on a Saturday night.
Yeah. There's a lot of progress actually for the league, and I think the next step is coming. Relegation and promotion.
Well, the USL is looking at that, but for Major League Soccer, they'd have to make the decision to go to 40.
Yeah, it's not gonna be now, but I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. That will come. That's something that is not in the sports culture in America, because there's no other sport has relegation or promotion in America. So, but this is different too. Soccer is different.
Mm-hmm.
Soccer is different. All right.
I'm trying to count really quickly how many teams don't have, or at least they have their own stadium, but they are working on something else. NYC doesn't have their own, but they're building it. Charlotte on Purpose is playing where the American football team plays. Everybody looks like, everybody's got their own place, or they share it with an American football component. So you don't have to worry about what you had to worry about when you were covering the team, a decade and a half ago. So I think it's big. Topic number 3. back on the list. Here we go.
Sorry.
On their 60th anniversary, will the Three Lions bring it home? Harry, I'm talking to you. I think the answer is no, but go ahead.
Probably. I mean, they have a very competitive roster, man. The roster is huge. They got backups. They got the players that are in the best 11 versus the players that are on the bench. It's got the same quality, and it's a mission. It's a mission from the Premier League, right? Best league in the planet, and not being able to bring the best and the most important trophy in the planet to home. It's coming home. It's coming home. I don't know if it's coming home or not.
It's coming home for a visit. They're going to sit there and charge $50 a head for you to take your picture next to it, man. It's not going to happen. Come on now.
You think you have a trust in the Three Lions? You have a Harry and Saka and Ishii can do it? No, it's too young.
They always find a way to trip over their own shoelaces.
I know. It's been at least they came close in the last couple of competitions, 2018 and 2022. There are improvements, but it's like the quarterfinals is the final destination for them. And I don't know what's going to change. Something is going to change, but hopefully it will. And I just want to see these young players prove their worth. Prove the Premier League. It is the best league in the planet. But we'll see. There are way too many candidates. Spain is strong. Brazil,
Argentina.
This is Argentina, and the problem and the problem for everyone else with Argentina is this. that there's a mission. They are on a mission. They is to be the only country, the only team to win back-to-back titles since Brazil 1958 and 1962. That's people don't understand the rivalry between Argentina and Brazil. It is they hate Brazilians. And now you got your 5 cups, and they hate them for having 5. They do. So in order to get that, to achieve that, you're not the only ones. We can do it too. And the last dance for Messi, it's. I mean, this is gonna be historical. It's gonna be legendary. This World Cup coming up next year, brother. There's a lot of actors or situations and records that they need to be break. That everybody that is getting there is on a mission,
and that's why.
It's
That's
beautiful.
why my money's on Argentina. Nino Damas, speaking of Nino Damas, we broke him out just a second ago. Nino Damas is candidate to win the World Cup, left lots of doubts, and the Irish could celebrate St. Patrick's Day in November. Bruh.
It was a disaster. It was a disaster. It was a catastrophe. It was just painless so painful to watch, man. It's painful to watch Portugal. Lateral possession from side to side. Everybody trying to get on Cristiano. Cristiano was not getting the ball. Yeah, give me the ball. No, I can't give you the ball because you got 5 players around you. And it was just a lack of creativity with having creative players that they did not. I mean, this was an unrecognizable team. Unrecognizable. And the red card too. So was this guy's connected or something? What happened with the elbows, man? So Messi throwing elbows in the MLS, Cristiano throwing elbows in the European qualifiers. What's going on? They're tired. They just
Look.
You will not see that from them 10 years
CR40 and those elbows of his, and then doing the signals to the ref. That don't play. He got that red for dissent, and it was worth it. And we all sat there and pointed at it and was like, keep an eye on that one. This topic 5 was something that we talked about in our chat when we were just going back and forth with each other yesterday. About this individual, not necessarily about what you have here. Topic 5. I'm reading it as you wrote it. The secret whiny side of Gennaro Gattuso when it comes to World Cup qualifiers. I will say this, and this was a point that was made in our chat. You take Gattuso and that squad that he's in charge of right now, you take him to La Paz, he ain't making it. It's going to be an ugly scene if they go to Bolivia, or he could not survive CONMEBOL with that squad. You go on a tour, you're in trouble.
You brother, you won't survive one game. You won't survive one game. You will be, complaining, and the police will shut you down. The police in Brazil will shut you down. You go to Chile, they're gonna put the National Army chants on your locker room, and nothing that you can do about it. And it's why do we have 6.5 spots? Because we are the toughest conference in the planet. That's why. This is why. It is this. I don't know if it's the most competitive. I think it's the most competitive. It should be the most competitive. Yeah, it is. I want to say that. And on the other side, Gattuso, I'm sorry, brother, but this is the 3rd straight qualifier that Italy goes into the playoffs. All right. So, what about you looking what Italy is doing wrong to not qualify? We're talking about 4-time World Cup champions here. 4 times.
But you're not, and this is something that is systemic. Our buddy, our part of our family, Nicolifi, who is the resident Serie A guy, and when it comes to the Italian national team, he's like, look, they don't let the younger players come up through the system, spend their time with the national team. So you have those young players coming through. They get their time, they stay, they get a couple of cycles and move on. It literally is sitting there and it's like, oh, veteran, we'll bring you in. Oh, veteran, we'll bring you in. And you crash out instead of having faith in those younger players that you develop and you play in your own domestic league, but you don't put them on the national team and you see what happens.
They're South Americans or something. We're talking about Peru here, or what is going on? Oh no, we're talking about Italy. Yeah, we got the same issues, brother. Same issues here in South America. We're doing the why? I thought that was just like a problem that we have only here, but apparently Italy has the same problem. So as long as you keep doing that, you're not gonna get anything done. You're not gonna achieve anything, and you're gonna keep Italy. You know, it's Italy is a superpower, man. It's one of the elite teams in the history of the game, and they're falling behind. They're falling behind, and then they're not doing anything about it. They're not doing anything about it. That's the biggest problem, you know, because Germany. Well, Germany, I don't know about Germany now. They just got predictions that they're not gonna pass from the group stage. They're gonna stay in the group stage again.
And I don't know who you're going to let be in net when Manuel Neuer decides he's going to hang it up, and it's going to be one of those crash decisions. It's like, who are we going to put in there now? Instead of developing someone to be ready when Neuer retires from international play. It literally is like, we're going to max out all of our guys, and then we'll figure it out, because they don't want the development stage of it all. It's like, we'll do great, and then we'll crash, and then we'll be like, well, what happened? You know, that's the way. We saw it with the women's national team here in the United States. I think you waited too long for the U.S. women's national team before you started integrating the younger players, because the world caught up with you in women's soccer.
Oh, big time.
It was because you didn't let things develop, so you'd have that easy transition. It's not happening in Italy. It's not happening in Peru. And so, Gattuso, this is what you got into, my friend. And so that is not anything new out of Italy. It's just now that Gattuso is in front of it. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be bleak. Alianza Lima and their army of haters won't stop creating conspiracy theories. Looks like they won't ever recover from Universitario's three-peat. Where are you at here, man?
It is crazy. Since Universitario won the three-peat, since that day, it's just everybody's on a mission all across the board on social media, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. All the Alianza Lima fans are, unleashing. John, it's just ridiculous the number of stories or delusional thoughts that they're putting in. Okay, and the latest one was the most. How do I put this, man? I don't know. Anyway, so the Peruvian national coach, which is an interim coach, by the way, we play Russia, right? We play Russia in it was 1-1 in St. Petersburg, and in the press conference, he said this, which is the most natural thing to say from national team players. They got here. This is the best place to showcase their talents. Scouts from all over the world can see our players, and that's why I wanted to bring players from our Liga Uno, from the Peruvian league, so they can get a bigger exposure to the world, right? Which is natural. When you go to a national team, you got better exposure than you have when you're playing on your team. Guess what? I'm so mad that I can't hold on. All right. They say that so now the Peruvian national team is for your agents, right? So now Barreto is an agent, as he's gonna sell his players. They're not his players, you morons. He's the coach. He doesn't have a dime for whatever they sell the players from the national team. No, they say that this is a business. So it's about business, because you're getting so many players from Universitario, and now you want to sell them because you cannot sell them when they're playing in the Liga Uno. So you got to take them to the national team so you can sell your Universitario players. You check how many Alianza Lima players are in the national team? Go please check, all right? And your players also are being exposed in the biggest stage, which is the national team. And there's so many stories like that, Johnny. Every single day, they come up with something. My God, it's just ridiculous. Valera got a haircut, the Ronaldo Nazario haircut, right? because it was a bet, right? I'm one of the guys in the club, right? If we win the championship, I'm gonna cut my hair like Ronaldo in 2002. Okay, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, how dare you? How dare you compare to Ronaldo? You're nothing to Ronaldo Nazario. What do you think about that? What do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You're delusional. You're a loser. Blah, 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 blah. Boom, boom, boom. The hate is coming from everywhere. Guys, it's a bet. It's nothing. All right. It's so good. Don't worry about that. Anyway.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
Wow.
Man. It's crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are you calling this weekend over on GOLTV?
It's the only one game and one game only. It's the Peñarol versus Liverpool. Is the playoff, because in Uruguay they got this crazy system, right?
No, South America with a crazy system. What?
Yeah. Just listen to this, right? So Nacional didn't win a single tournament. They did not win the Apertura, did not win the Intermedio, did not win the Clausura. Like who's waiting on the couch before Liverpool and Peñarol, massacre each other.
Oh,
Nacional. Yes, they got into the final spot because they got the most points in the annual table. So they didn't win any of the three tournaments, but they got the most points throughout the year. So that's why they're going to play the finals. And Peñarol, who won the Clausura, won the Intermedio, and Liverpool, who won the Apertura, they're going to play against each other, to play against Nacional, who didn't win a single trophy this year.
There was a word in there that you were about to put, and that is going to be on Sunday at 4. And right now, Peñarol heavy favorite on the road at a -115. Liverpool a +298. Your 90-minute draw is a +236. So that is where things stand. I cannot thank you enough for pushing back a day, because of the Tata Martino press conference that we were all at yesterday and talked about yesterday afternoon. We'll be back at it again, please, in 6 days' time, back to your normal Thursday slot, and we'll continue to rock and roll. What else is going on with you this weekend?
Nothing, man. Just chilling,
Wow.
Yeah. It's an easy weekend for me.
Take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. But sometimes you can hear my my pipes like, So at this time of the year, when weekends like this come up, I'm like,
take that early spring and run. We love you very much, and we'll catch up with you in 6 days' time. It's always great to see you, my friend.
And see you, Johnny. Take care, guys.
There goes Nino Torres from GOLTV. And you can get GOLTV at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out to continue your degenerative nature of watching all of the leagues all around the planet and find out what's going on. Once again, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you get Fanatis, and you get to have conversations with our buddy Nino during matches. Literally, you can reach out to him on social during matches, and you will have conversations with him in those matches. It's an absolute blast. Coming up in a couple of minutes, it's our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We're going to put a bow on everything in CONCACAF. We're going to talk about what's going on in Major League Soccer, some teams with roster decisions, and we'll talk about round 1 of the playoffs. We'll also talk about what the thoughts are when it comes to the rollover to the 27 schedule being in line with the international calendar. France and Colombia are still on the clock, and in midway, it was supposed to be 6 minutes on the board, and you ended up with Colombia getting a red card, and then the teams had a bit of a coming together, and the clock was still going at +9.5, and they finally just wiped it off the board. And it looks like in a 2-goal game where France and Colombia kept going, they finally were just like, all right, y'all are too close to each other, and there are too many of you out here, so we're just going to call it. And it looks like that's what happened. Like I said, I got the sound down on the Big 55, so I guess that's what happened. And that is one of the matchups in the U17s that is wrapped up this morning. Once again, 16 minutes from now, it is kickoff of the U.S. and Morocco. It is on Peacock and Universo. Early runs, Mali over Zambia by the score of 3-1. Portugal over Belgium 2-1. Switzerland over Egypt 3-1. France once again with the goal late to make it 2-0. Colombia had a red card on the way out the door. And it is Argentina late first half leading Mexico by the score of 1-0. Ireland and Canada are goalless in the 15th minute. And then at 10:45, once again, the last two games kick off in the round of 32. USA and Morocco, Universo and Peacock. And then it is Brazil and Paraguay. They are on Deportes Ahora on Telemundo. So let me change over to Telemundo. Let me see. What channel is it here? Hang on. Telemundo. And it'll switch on its own. And so that way we'll keep an eye on that. But Universo and Peacock, 10:45, USA and Morocco. Argentina leading Mexico 1-0. That one is now turned into the added time of the first half. And once again, Argentina with lead. 2 minutes on the board there as they get ready to call an end of the first half. Let's see. Let's do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it today and for the weekend. And we'll kind of blow through it before Niko joins us coming up in just a little bit. Once again, if your favorite college is in their tournament final, go to their social media because it's probably going to be in some combination of ESPN Plus, the B1G, or it's going to be on, if it's a smaller conference, check their YouTube channels and things like that. And it'll be available to you there. World Cup qualifying, that's going to be going on later today. Luxembourg and Germany's at 2:45. It is A-League going on right now on the Plus. Spanish Segunda Liga is on at 3:30. Fox Soccer Plus has World Cup qualifying at noon and 2:45. And then once again, Peacock, we mentioned the U17s with the USA and Morocco coming up in just a little bit. So let's get into World Cup qualifying juice boxes before we double back and discuss what happened yesterday with Niko Moreno. In Europe, Finland a big favorite against Malta at -286. Croatia big favorite against the Faroe Islands at a -909. The Faroe Islands have had a great run. Looks like it's going to come to an end at a +2207. Gibraltar big underdog hosting Montenegro at a -385. Luxembourg a big underdog hosting Germany at a -1000. Luxembourg, by the way, a +2352 in the composite. Netherlands a -139 at Poland a +368. And Slovakia is favored against Northern Ireland at a +110. If you are looking into that discussion that we were having yesterday about San Marino possibly qualifying for the cup that the world is chasing after next year, Northern Ireland needs to beat Slovakia today as the first stage in that. Tomorrow qualification is in Europe with the metric crap ton of matches, 10 matches in European qualifying tomorrow. Then you have 6 more in qualifications on Sunday in Europe. The DR Congo-Nigeria match is to qualify into the Intercontinental Playoff. You also have 2 at 2:45 Eastern time on Sunday. Then on Monday, you have more in Europe. We'll get into that on Monday, Iraq and the UAE. That is also the other half of the Intercontinental Qualifier. That is on Monday. More on Monday out of Europe. More on Monday out of CONCACAF. And like I said, we'll get into all of the machinations with the results and everything that happened in CONCACAF coming up in just a little bit when Niko Moreno joins us on the board. So once again, remember, USL Conference Finals, 2 matches on Saturday, both on the Plus. Pittsburgh and Rhode Island FC at Highmark at the confluence of the Allegheny, the Ohio, and the Monongahela Rivers. That is at 6:30 at Highmark, and Michael Parkhurst will be there, so say hi. And at 1 OK, it is FC Tulsa and New Mexico United. Your Western Conference Final, that's at 8:30 in USL Championship. Your USL League One Final, and that is in Knoxville, and apparently they are heading toward a sellout, which is really cool to see. It's going to be Spokane and One Knox. 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon at Covenant Health Park in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's going to be on Golazo Network. So if you're not watching anything else going on Sunday, if you're not attending a college opening round game, say in Division III, which we'll be attending the one with Emory's women. We'll be attending that little mini bracket, and we'll have reaction out of that. That's going to be on the Red Clay Soccer Report. That's going to be up this weekend as well. Also on the board, the Roots is going to take the tour to Corpus Christi. And we'll let you know what's going on in Corpus Christi with Corpus Christi FC. If you missed that interview, we'll play it back for you on the Roots coming up this weekend on the network. Also on the board, Best of Soccer Down Here AM. at the Off the Woodwork podcast section at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. You're going to hear the conversations that we had with Cooper Sanchez earlier in the week. We're going to have the conversation with Casey White, with everything going on in women's soccer, with the ACC and the bracket and the NWSL. Jen Hildreth is going to be joining us on Tuesday. She's going to be at 10:45 on Tuesday morning. And also, we are catching up with the new man in charge in the front office at Grand Rapids. For AC Grand Rapids, Derek Barnes is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock. So Tuesday next week is going to be KCD, Derek Barnes from AC Grand Rapids, Jen Hildreth. So that's going to be Tuesday of next week after we catch up with Abe and with Bart and with Gabe Schrei about what's going on in League One and all of that. That's going to be Monday. So Monday, Abe, Bart, and Gabe Schrei. Tuesday, KCD, Derek Barnes from AC Grand Rapids, and Jen Hildreth talking about the NWSL final and the NWSL season and probably NWSL to Atlanta. We'll talk to her about NWSL ATL as well. And that'll get you into the early part of the week next week. So that's how we're looking when it comes to those particular things on the board. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed with what happened. Actually, yeah, let's get into what happened yesterday just so we can kind of set the table and find out what happened World Cup. I meant to talk about what happened in CONCACAF yesterday, which was crazy. Panama and Guatemala went back and forth. It was 2-0 and it finished up 3-2. Panama with the big 3 points there. Haiti over Costa Rica at a plus 304. Big win for them on the island of Curacao. If you haven't read the article by John Arnold over at ESPN.com about what Haiti is going through as a national team and what is going on inside the country and how it's affecting the national team, that's your required reading for the day. John Arnold's piece at ESPN in the soccer section about Haiti. Nicaragua put that particular group once again back in the blender at a plus 649, shutting out Honduras 2-0. Curacao put 7 on Bermuda. Curacao in the driver's seat in that particular region with the draw that happened with Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. TNT with the late goal to tie things up. It finished up at 1-1. Suriname put 4 on El Salvador, and that would put us at a minus 154. So looking at your standings, it is intriguing at the very least to see what's going on with CONCACAF. And it is going to be, if you thought it was going to be crazy going into yesterday, it's going to be even crazier going into Tuesday. And that's why we're saying that Tuesday is absolutely required, locking yourself into a room and making sure that you've got enough snacks. You've got enough snacks. You got enough of what's going on. You kind of know what's going on around you, and you can find out what it's going to look like. It is okay, and there is no Nico Sekiris on the bench for the U.S. So I'm guessing whatever mechanism could have been available to the United States to challenge the red card, either they were unsuccessful or did not. Like I said, we don't know the official word on what happened with the red. The bench for the U.S. today: Jameer Johnson, Chase Adams, Maximo Carrizo on the bench, Luca Moisa, Kellen LeBlanc, Jordan Griffin, Ramiz Hamuda, Ibrahim Lodmel, and Jack Courtcamp is your second keeper for Gonzalo Segaresh. It is Stokes in net, left to right, Guimaraes, Martinez, Cups wearing the captain's armband, and Gio Vila, Kevin Sullivan, Cooper Sanchez starting in the middle, Jude Terry, and your front three, Albert Hall and Mfasa Berkimas. All right. Once again, I say this on Thursdays, but I'm going to say it on a Friday. What place on the planet can take you from, at least today, Columbus, Ohio, to Lima, Peru, to Seattle? This one, as I raise my hand, because we get to find out. And once again, we thank Nino and Nico for their forbearance in jumping on Fridays instead of on Thursdays this week because of the Tata Martino press conference. And for this, we find out how many cups of coffee Nico is in this morning. And we go to the studio setup. Oh, check that out, my friend. Look at that. You were gassed up and ready to go. What's on your mind?
What's up, boss man? I was trying to figure like a nice background with this TV new thing that I tried, but it was not working. But I'm here. Eventually, I should have a decent background. But happy to be on. Excited. A lot to talk about, of course. It's been the week that many have waited for a long time with the calendar change. I think that MLS has honestly outdone themselves with some really good decisions that maybe should have been made from the very beginning. But all in all, I'm happy with everything that MLS has kind of put out this week.
Yep, and that's going to be where we lead off. And the decisions yesterday, we were on yesterday afternoon, in addition to our Tata Martino discussion, to discuss what Major League Soccer is now going to do. And the teams have come out once again unilaterally in favor of it. For those that might still be a little wonky on the math, they're going to begin play on what we now refer to as the international calendar. Mid-July through mid-May, July 27 through May of 28. The new format will kick in 27. We're still trying to wait. There were some published reports as to whether or not you're going to go single table, whether you're going to have 5 or 6 divisions when it comes to your scheduling. That stuff is being talked about. It's not official yet. We don't know. But you're going to have a winter break. You're going to have the summer break. You're going to have that sprint season that it was referred to initially, that transitional time with the 14-game madness that's going to be there from February through May of 27. Then you're going to go into your new calendar. I'm intrigued by it. And I mean, now that, and this is what we were getting into the conversation with Nino before you, when Nino was covering Columbus decade 15 years ago, it was still, you're transitioning out of playing at Ohio State University and you're playing in your own barn. Seattle has always been in their own barn, regardless of where it is. You've always had Lumen. You've always been in Soto. That hasn't been an issue. It hasn't been that way for every single franchise in Major League Soccer. But now that you're to the point to where NYC is finally building their barn, you're getting everybody now on the same page where they can control their own dates, and they're not having to fight monster truck rallies and concerts and everything just to get a date in for an MLS match. Now that you've got your own venues, you make this switch and everything is in line.
Yes, I think that there's a couple of things to hit on here, specifically for the Sounders and Charlotte and Atlanta, of course. The biggest question I got was, with this change of format, change of calendar, you're overlapping with all of the Seahawk and all the NFL scheduling, right? But the good thing is that you do it early in the year, where it's a lot easier to manage, a lot easier to modify. You know exactly what the NFL calendar is going to look like, rather than it being playoffs and the Sounders are having to figure out if they're going to play a U.S. Open Cup semifinal at Starfire because Lumen's not available, or if there's a playoff game and now you don't know if you're going to have to play it in Spokane, as there's been times that you were thinking about you have to do.
Yeah.
All of those things get eliminated with the change of the calendar. So I feel like that's a good thing. Also, a lot of people who are freaking out, to be honest. I mean, I got people on my DMs, season ticket holders, saying, "Look, I'm not gonna renew. This is just craziness."
Seriously?
But when you go back and you look at it, I mean, 90% of the footprint for the year is going to be the same as with the current format, right? I mean, sure, the when the tournament starts and when it ends, that's changing, but not necessarily the times of the month when they're being played. So I'm just excited about it, man. I think that regardless of what's happening, MLS is already trending in the right direction of a lot of clubs knowing that they have to build their own soccer-specific stadium. Here in Seattle, it's created a lot of intrigue because after the Sounders decided to publicly go out and look for investors, and Renton being where most people think that the new stadium is going to be created, it's been very controversial. Because do you take the Sounders out of Seattle and take away that cultural feel of doing the march at Pioneer Square and everything that surrounds doing things in the city of Seattle, right? And now you move it to Renton, which is kind of an industrial area, especially where, Long Acres is right now, right? Sounders soccer facility is not in the most optimal place for a tailgate or a post-game gathering, right? I mean, I can understand why people are skeptical. Now, what we've been talking about on this side is, what if you make it an unreal experience? What if moving to Renton makes it so you can have a stadium with this grand entrance with the statue of Brian Smetzer, Nicolas Lodero greeting you at the parking lot? Now you get to name, your ring of honor truly as part of the stadium. I don't know, put up a museum with the achievements of the Sounders. You create almost this mecca of soccer. And a lot of people are going to not want to do that because they're so focused on the city of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get there and you look at it, it might change your mind. But to me, I would like the Sounders to continue to stay in Seattle. But I feel like that's a conversation that a lot of clubs in MLS are going to start having, and that we're going to have, regardless of whether there was going to be a calendar change or not.
USA and Morocco about ready to kick off in Qatar. We'll keep an eye on that. U.S. is in those killer blue bomb pop kits and going up against Morocco, who has been a thorn in their side collectively. It is a Canadian referee crew it's a Mexico referee crew in this particular matchup in the first 45. U.S. is going to be going in their bomb pop kits from right to left as you picture the match in your mind's eye. We'll keep an eye on that on the Big 55 for the rest of the show. One of the other things that we didn't get into yesterday specifically about the decisions with Major League Soccer was the fact that they are taking season pass out from behind the paywall. And it is now being integrated into your subscription for Apple TV. And there's also the idea that you can bundle Apple TV and Peacock together for a certain price. So now, because of Major League Baseball, because of Formula One, which is now coming into Apple TV, now you've got Major League Soccer as a part of the sports programming that's being built at Apple. And so it's being pulled out and it's being put with everything else under normal circumstances where if you want to watch it, you can watch it. You don't have to take the extra steps to go watch it starting next year.
This is the way it should have always been. And it was part of how confusing and convoluted it was to just figure it out. We did a show yesterday with the guys from Love and Scorchers, and I was telling them, look, the first time I tried to explain it to my dad, who's older, who is what I would call a casual MLS follower, mainly for the Sounders, he, as a guy that doesn't really work well with tech, he just didn't get why there was two paywalls. He's like, I don't get it. So it's Apple TV and his MLS. Why don't they just do their own app? I mean, it's weird. And now I feel like you're simplifying it. You are reaching to a bigger audience. You're going to get a spectrum of new people. And when you are just months away from the World Cup, this is the perfect time to do it, to open that up, to take away that wall, and let your product on the field be what draws people in. Because look, you and I, and there's many of us out there who are advocates for the league, know the growth of the league and the talent that they're currently there. And if you make it simpler and people can watch it, more people can watch it, the more it's going to grow. So for me, it's a home run. And I don't know if I call it a home run, maybe just a double, because it seems like that's the way it should have always been. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm just glad that that's what they decided to do. There is no other reason that this is happening, that whether they've shared the numbers with those or not, something's not working. If they're willing to do this, to me, it just seems like they saw something. They're like, look, maybe if we open this up this way, we're going to have more people, more viewers. So I'm hoping that that's the case, right? Because that's the whole point, is to just add more viewers.
Yeah, and doing that in a cup cycle where the entire world is chasing after a trophy next year, and it's going to be in your hemisphere to open yourself up to. And the number was floated out there that Apple has in the neighborhood of 45 million subscribers. If you can open yourself up, like I said, Formula One's coming in the door. MLS taking away season pass, and you're part of the normal distribution. Major League Baseball already there. So Apple has these products that are here, and now you're aligning yourself with them, and especially that big gun that's Formula One coming in. you can sit there and everybody's like, you're on Apple already. Oh, I'm going to watch shrinking. Oh, okay. There's an MLS match on. I think I'll go over here. So it normalizes it, I guess, when it comes to your viewing choices, I guess is probably the best way that I can describe it, bringing it back with everybody else that's a part of their sports portfolio.
Exactly. It's just so much simpler. You are adding the casual viewer a lot simpler, right? I mean, look, Apple, you got to take advantage of the fact that Apple TV, I mean, we're not going to get into this subject, but they have some great television, right? They got great series, they got great movies. I mean, you talk about shrinking, you talk about Task. I mean, there's so many. Not Task.
You got Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, right? I mean, you got all of this other series that draw people in to just go watch those series and those movies, and now you're a step away from watching MLS rather than having to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and it looks like the center ref in the USA Morocco match is going to kind of let things go just a little bit because Nemfasa Berkimis just got basically tackled outside the edge of the 18, and nothing was called. Sorry, it's a Peruvian crew. Roberto Perez Gutierrez is the man in charge. So a Peruvian crew, and Morocco just missed wide to the far post. So halfway through the 5th minute, goalless in Qatar in the U17s. The other stuff that I wanted to discuss with you this morning has to do with round number 1 and the offseason and folks that didn't make it out of round number 1. And we haven't had the chance to catch up since Andrew Thomas hit the crossbar flush with one of the hardest shots, I think, in the 10th frame that I've seen in quite some time. And I made the point on Monday. I said, I give Andrew Thomas all of the credit in the world because as folks are coming up trying to console him, the first words out of his mouth are, my bad. It's my fault. Literally, he's owning up to the entire thing after Seattle gets bounced in the 10th frame in a best-of-3 to Minnesota, and Minnesota moves on next weekend.
The irony there is that Andrew Thomas is just as confident stopping shots as he is putting them in the back of the net. We see it in practice all the time. He is, almost a given when it comes to shooting from the penalty shot. I mean, he's a guy that consistently put it away. He is, he practices a whole lot. It's not like it was odd to him, and he just seemed like he wasn't going to be Seattle's night regardless. And it's a shame because he had this almost movie-like start to the shootout, right? He goes the right way. He forces the shot wide, dislocates his finger. Then, he's yelling. And if you know Andrew Thomas, I tell you that's a tough dude. Like, he is a guy that's not going to be yelling for no reason. So when I saw his expression, I knew it was a big deal. They lock it back into place. They tape him up, put the glove on, and he's out there just making a difference, right? He gives this team every chance to win that penalty kick shootout. And unfortunately, Obed doesn't put it away. Osasa just it's a bad PK. I mean, it was just a series of things that happened for Seattle to just lose that game. But it all goes back to how it started, right? The Sounders should have never been in that situation. Up 2 goals, up a man. The inability of taking advantage of a team that had 10 less players. How you allow 2 players in 2 different occasions for a player to go undefended to the back post when you have an extra guy on the field is wild to me. How is he unmarked? How do we have a clear advantage on the number of players on the field and that happens? I mean, I hate to call it a choke job, but that's kind of what it was, right? Seattle wasn't able to hold the lead with all the advantage, all of the momentum. They started the game perfectly.
Yeah.
And this is where I wanted to kind of put things at, because as the, commonly known Brian Spencer hater, this was not on Brian. Brian did everything he could to win this game. I thought that the decision to bring in Andrew Thomas was hard for him. It was unnatural, right? Almost. He was struggling with that decision, and he makes it, and it works. And unfortunately, it doesn't end up getting the result. I thought that the initial setup was good. I thought that the team had the right idea to how to start this game off. The mentality was there. Now, some of his substitutions, although timely, maybe could have been different. Maybe, you could have not taken Ferrer off. Maybe you could have brought Georgie in instead of Paul Rothrock. But at the end of the day, this is on the players. Is a clumsy mistake by Yeimar that ends up allowing Pereira to take that PK on top of the 18.
Mm-hmm.
It is a team that should have been ready for that little flick in the back end where Obed just doesn't defend the guy coming in. I mean, there were so many individual errors in this game that you got to put it on the players. Not always is it the coach's fault that things happen like this. But to conclude everything, Andrew Thomas, if anything, showed you that he's ready to lift the torch, get it from Steph. He's going to be the guy for the future. He's going to be the goalkeeper, in my opinion, as a starter in 2026. Okay. And look, what better way to come out and be your come out party than you showing that sort of determination and sacrifice that he did during those PK shootouts.
Yeah, and you started, for those that follow your timeline, you started discussing roster decisions and things like that. We have gone over what Seattle has to be staring at when it comes to who's available, what's it looking like, all of that. And just for a refresher, just so everybody knows where you're coming from when it comes to your thoughts and all of the stuff that's attached to Seattle coming up here in the offseason. Once again, remember, you don't have to make decisions until the 11th of December. So you've got a little less than a month if you are in Major League Soccer to figure things out. Some teams have already made some decisions and they've put them out there in the ether. Just so everybody knows, your DPs are locked in. Rusnak through 26, option 27, De La Vega and Morris through 27. De La Vega has an option year for 28. The decisions that have to be made. Yeimar has an option year for 26. Ryan Kent, an option year for 26. John Bell is out of contract. Stephen Fry is out of contract. Musaski has an option year. Nuhu has an option year. JP has an option year. That's in your senior roster. Supplementals, Jacob Castro as a homegrown has an option year. De Rosario has the contract is through this year with 2 option years, 26 and 27. Kim Ki-hee has an option year for 26. KKR, Kalani Kosarienzi has option years for 26 and 27. Paul Rothrock out of contract. Travian Sosa unavailable on loan, but his contract is through this year. Option years for 6 and 7. Obed Vargas is a homegrown. He has a contract through this year. Option for 26. And then Leo Burney, who is a supplemental spot 21. He's on loan, but he has 3 option years after this. How difficult are these decisions, or how difficult should they be for Seattle coming into next year?
Some are easier than others, but there are 2 very difficult ones, and we'll talk about this here in a second. Yeah. I have reported already that Yeimar Gomez Andrade's option has been picked up for 2025, as well as Danny Musovski. That should be no surprise. I'm told that Nuhu is next on that series of things. Craig Weibel told us pretty simple. If there's any turnover that's going to happen in this team, it's going to happen through transfers. He's going to pick up a lot of those options. He's going to ship and deal guys. That includes Danny Musovski. I am a true believer that sometimes when a stock that's been low gets really, really high, you might want to sell it. Mm-hmm. Just go ahead and capitalize on what you got. I think that's what you have to do with Danny Musovski, and then go find somebody else. You got to get better at that position in terms of talent and depth. So that's the way I would handle it. I think that's going to be the way it's going to happen. But those are the 2 pieces of news. The other 2 that are more updates that people might not know are complicated. Mm-hmm. Number 1, Obed Vargas. Negotiations are ongoing, but there still seem to be no closer than it was 2 months ago. What does that tell you? That if the negotiations are this hard, there's a good chance, or that increases the possibility, that Obed Vargas goes in the winter window, because Seattle cannot wait to figure out if a deal gets done. The transfer window for the winter closes, and now you're forced to wait till the summer when all of the leverage will be on Obed's camp by saying, look, we could sign a pre-contract with another team and we don't need you no more. And Seattle cannot allow Obed Vargas to walk on a free. It would be a disservice. It would be blasphemy. It would just be a job losing type of situation for everybody involved in the Sounders side. And then obviously, in my opinion, I think that the best thing that Obed Vargas could do is take the contract, give himself some time. His main objective this year has been playing for the Mexican national team. No one that wants to be in a national team makes a club change so close to the World Cup.
Yep.
You don't know if you're going to play. You don't know if there's a curveball. Regardless of where you go, PSV, Bruges, Atletico Madrid, you don't know if you're going to play. So I thought that was going to be part of the decision-making where Obed was going to take the deal that he's getting and give him some time to go play the World Cup, and then we'll figure it out afterwards. But it sounds like it's a compensation thing. The Seattle Sounders, for what I'm hearing, I've offering them the max that they can possibly give them, which in my opinion is, not in my opinion, but in my understanding of the situation, it's $1 million, which is the max cap for the U22 spot. That seems reasonable, but it just hasn't gotten any closer. And then the other one that I think it's probably even less positive is Paul Rothrock.
Huh.
He's walking. I mean, that's just the way I'll put it to you and your audience. He's going to test the free market. The number that I got that it's the maximum he can get is $830,000. The Sounders are not willing to pay him that much. And what I'm hearing is that Paul Rothrock and his camp have no desire, no intent to go any lower than what they are trying to get, which my guess is between 800 to 830. And so that puts us in a place where the Sounders are not going to give you more than they can, which you and I have talked about. That is the Jackson Reagan baseline of 600,000. So with that in mind, I think that Paul Rothrock's going to test the free market. He's going to figure out if there's other MLS teams that can give him that sort of money or abroad. And then if he can, then maybe he can go back to the Sounders and say, you know what, never mind. I'll take what you guys were giving me. But that puts us in a position where there is a big possibility that Paul Rothrock or Paulie Primetime won't be in Seattle for 2026.
Right now, according to our friends at the MLSPA, Jackson Reagan base of 600, full comp is 610. Paul Rothrock is on the step up above the rookie men. He's making 104 right now. That's that number, the U22 max within your contract. Use it 104. Then you look at, and that's guaranteed. That's both 104 and 104. Nothing else over the top. Then Obed Vargas, his baseline compensation is 125. Guaranteed comp, according to MLS players, is 134, 452. So you are looking at two individuals that are basically looking for something akin to a 600% increase in their yearly salary. And you're thinking Rothrock's going to walk or at least kick the tires on the market. And Obed Vargas is looking for that 800 to 840, huh?
Correct. Okay. I think an Obed situation, he has all the leverage, right? And again, for Obed, if you're offering him $1 million, that's plenty of money that's worth giving him, because you're essentially going to make 8-9 on a transfer. But Paul just doesn't have any sort of leverage. Not to mention that regardless of all the things he does good for this team, because I love Paul Rothrock, I'm a big Paul Rothrock guy, there's just a lot of depth there. You know, when Pedro comes back, when Paul Arriola comes back, I mean, there's just so many, Georgie and Ryan Kent. He's a possibility now, right? I mean, if you're going to spend 830, or that's what you're being told that you need to spend on them, go a little bit more and you spend $1 million plus on, or less than $1 million, a little bit, or a little bit less than that on Ryan Kent. Now, would I rather keep Paul than Ryan? Yeah. But if he's forcing the Sounders' hand, I mean, it's going to be difficult. I'm wondering how much Christian Espinosa would cost. I mean, Christian Espinosa was just told that he wasn't going to return to the Quakes. Man, Espinosa is a phenomenal player. So, there's a lot of things that I think Paul Rothers camp isn't quite looking at. And sometimes when you're a walk-on in a team, man, you got to just continue to build up your name rather than playing hardball.
And Espinosa is a name that's out there. Walker Zimmerman, for those interested, Walker Zimmerman's name is out there. He wants to test the free agent waters as well. And we'll see these names kind of trickle in as to what it's going to look like between now and December 11th, when you've got to get all your decisions in, and we will go from there. What's the weekend like as we are getting through the international window, and we're going to have chaos on Tuesday in CONCACAF, and then it's all going to pick back up again just in time for us to revisit next Thursday. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, we're hoping to get a end of year conference with the Sounders. I mean, the Timbers got out after the Sounders did, and they already did their conference. So I'm trying to figure out when this is going to happen. I'm not sure what the holdup is. They're trying to find agent. They're trying to find Craig. I don't know. But I'm hoping that early next week, we have that available. But for now, we're just doing a lot of end of season content. We're going to do what we learned this week tomorrow with Jeremiah O'Shan. We're going to bring in a whole lot of this new information that is going to change the look of the Sounders coming up next year. The new owners that are going to come in, how the calendar is going to change, the decisions that are going to have to be made around the stadium. We'll talk about a lot of the things that we talked about today. We'll see if anything has changed. João Paulo is one that's going to be very interesting, because at some point I thought that he was on his way out and maybe thinking of coaching and things like that. But after getting back on the field, you get that itch back, you know what I mean? And you feel like you can still continue to work out. So it's going to be interesting where that goes. So we're going to go into all of that and see if there's any additional information that we've been able to gather on Obit, see if anything gets done. And then, of course, on Monday with Ari Lillenwall, we'll do kickoff, and then we'll break down probably some USMNT. We'll see what happens with Christian Roldan in the camp. We'll talk about some of those MLSers that are part of the U.S. national team. And we'll look to the week ahead of what's going to happen with the matchups of the MLS playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And we will have you back here on Thursday on the normal day, unless there's another earth-shattering press conference here in the market that we all have to attend for all hands on deck. As always, my friend, great to see you. Love you very much. We'll catch up with you next Thursday, 6 days' time to set up the next round of the playoff.
Appreciate it, my friend. Have a good one.
All right. That's Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And so it's going to be another good week for them. Goal for the United States in the 22nd minute. It was initially last possession down, a set piece after Kevin Sullivan was taken down just outside the 18. They're attacking down the left again. Sullivan cut back, and it's an own goal probably by the end of it all. Sullivan sends it on the cutback, and the shot goes off a defender, and it goes into the net in the 22nd minute. So goal for the United States in the U17s. And obviously we're going to keep an eye on this match and find out how things are going to go here. Once again, it is early. We're at the halfway point of the first half. And Jude Terry, I think, is going to, if it's going to be a U.S. goal, it's going to go to Jude Terry. Otherwise, it's going to be an OG. So the U.S. with the early lead on Morocco, they've had a couple of decent chances. Morocco have had a couple of transitional opportunities going down the left-hand side, working to the far post and such. So Morocco working down the right, and the United States is working down that same defensive side, attacking down the left. So it's a goal for the U.S. They lead 1-0. And once again, that is halfway through the 23rd minute. So take the tour, get you some news before we get out of here. Something out of the Guardian I thought was really interesting. League One clubs' salary cap and luxury tax plans are going to be turned down by the EFL. Matt Hughes over at the Guardian. The EFL is going to oppose proposals for League One clubs to introduce a £4.7 million salary cap and a luxury tax for clubs that overspend. 18 League One clubs wrote to the EFL chair Rick Perry this month, advocating a fixed squad salary allowance, which they argue is required to get spending under control in a division where the median loss among 24 clubs last season was £5.2 million. Peterborough and Reading also proposed, they were the leaders of this, proposed a 100% tax on every penny of overspending above the cap, creating a fund that would be redistributed to clubs who complied. And Perry's understood to acknowledge the letters. Yeah, I got them. And expressed willingness to discuss ways of promoting greater sustainability, reducing reliance on owner funding, but will not back the changes. It's understood to have been discussed Thursday by the EFL board, which concluded it would not support the club's proposals. EFL sought to introduce caps in Leagues 1 and 2 4 years ago after COVID, but it was thwarted by a legal challenge from the PFA. PFA is also threatening to challenge the Premier League's plan to introduce financial regulation known as anchoring, which would limit each club's spending on transfers and player wages to 5 times the central media revenue received by the bottom club in the previous season. No one said there would be math. Man. EFL board understood to have concluded it would be irresponsible to endorse a salary cap that could also be subject to a PFA legal challenge. Misgivings about one division seeking to pursue fundamentally different financial regulations than the others. League One could go it alone. 2/3 majority vote of its clubs required to alter financial regs. Unclear whether they are willing to go against the board's wishes. So that is out of the Guardian this morning. Let's take a tour of the other papers, see if there's anything that we might have missed. Yeah, if you missed it, the video's out there. The ex-Spain chief, Luis Rubiales, was egged at a book launch by his own uncle, also named Luis Rubiales. So keep an eye on that. Apparently, Wolves made Rob Edwards the offer that he couldn't refuse. I think it was a 3.5-year deal. Just make sure that you get paid. That's all I'm saying. Make sure that everything happens and that your direct deposit works. The sack race odds are back out. Marco Silva and Daniel Farka are your new favorites now that things have been shifted. Marco Silva's at 6-4, Daniel Farka 7-4, and then it's a bit of space between them. Eddie Howe and Scott Parker, David Moyes, Arne Slot, and Nuno go anywhere from 9-1 to 20-1. Let me see if there's anything else that I have missed in the other papers before we get out of here. Once again, remember, we'll be around all weekend. You have all the other activity going on, and you've got Division 3 at Emory, if you are so inclined, on the women's side, top 4 team in the nation. Emory is going at it. Their mini bracket is Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. We'll be there for some Red Clay reporting, since Red Clay will be released on Sunday after the activities are all done in all of the playoffs in the early rounds when it comes to the college game. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and I think that's going to do it at least for the early go rounds of the news of the day. And we mentioned what's going on today when it comes to what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And let's see. I'm just going to give you the highlights of what to watch tomorrow. FS1 has qualified World Cup qualifying 9 a.m. FS2 has it at 2:45. Fox Deportes has a friendly Mexico and Uruguay at 8. USA and Paraguay is at 5. That is on TNT, Telemundo, and Universo. TUDN has Mexico and Uruguay, as does Univision. ESPN Plus has your USL Championship doubleheader in the Spanish Segunda División, Santander and Granada. Fox Soccer Plus has Serie A, plus a couple of your Euro qualifiers. Fubo has your World Cup qualifying, 2 at noon, 3 at 2:45. Golazo Network has League One, Gillingham and Crawley at 12:30. HBO Max also is doing the friendly for the USA and Paraguay at 5. Paramount Plus has League One, quadruple header at 10, and the one match at 12:30. And let's see, pay-per-view has Colombia, New Zealand at 7. Peacock also simulcasting USA, Paraguay at 5. NWSL semi, big CBS at noon, Washington and Portland. It is the Spanish Segundas at 3. DAZN USA has Spanish Liga Femenil, 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., and the German Frauen DFB Pokal at 10:30. Women's Super League is on the Plus at 8:30 with the Battle of Manchester, the Manchester Derby. A-League in Australia at 10 p.m. and midnight. Paramount Plus, NWSL semifinal at noon. AFC Champions League at 3:30 in the morning. Peacock has the Gainbridge Super League triple header, 3, 7:30. And 9 before it all picks up back again on your Sunday with qualifying. It's going to be a busy weekend of qualifying and everybody getting closer to it. But Tuesday's going to be the day that we really pay attention to when it comes to CONCACAF, and we'll keep an eye on all of that for you. Let me check and see and say hi to everybody before we get out of here and find out who is hanging out with us all morning long. I know that Abby was with us for a little bit, and we'll see if there's anything I missed in the call in the comments. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. And let's see. Morning, David. If you missed Bart's take on the Securus red card, like I said, I don't know if there was a mechanism. I don't know if there was any way to challenge it or not. But if there was a mechanism and the U.S. was unsuccessful, then we don't know if that was an actual message or if it was something else that went down. So we don't know if you could or if you did or what the result was for the United States. But Bart says on that Securus red, I guess they thought the follow through was higher than the ankle, but I'm a bit surprised that was elevated from a yellow to a red, considering he did win the ball cleanly at the start of the tackle. So that was what Bart said on that 29th minute. Now heading to the 30th minute, USA with a 1-0 lead. Let's see. So yes, the Peruvian crew with the action with the U.S. and the U17s. Oh, from last match. Let's see. Abby wanted to know the ref crew from the last match for the United States and getting the red card. So hang on, let me see. So it was 2-1 Tajikistan? No, it was after that one. Was it? No, it was the Tajikistan match. That's right. It was. Yeah. So the Tajikistan match with the United States, as I sit here and go for it really quickly. I know that this is making for great radio. I apologize. And even better television. All right. So Tajikistan, it was the overview. Tanguy Mebiame was your ref, and your fourth was Rustam Lutfulin. So Tanguy Mebiame was the man in the middle for that one, who gave the red card to Securus. Do not know if he has called any other matches after this one. Let's do a check really quickly on Tanguy Mebiame and find out what he has called. Let's see. So Gabon. And so he was in the CAF Confederation Cup clash. So he is part of, so he is from Gabon. So he is an AFCON official. And he has a bit of a history with with the Somalis and calling things and not calling things. So Mebiame, let's see. Yes. So display, please. All competitions. No data available for Patrice Mebiame. Okay. Well, no, here we go. All right. So all competitions. Yes. Total results. Let's do 24-25. We don't have like comp numbers. 24 and 25. It was 11 appearances. And okay, so in the World Cup itself, after the USA match, 3 days later, he called Austria and New Zealand. So he is still there in the building. So he called the group stage match for the U17 World Cup with Austria and New Zealand after the US match with Tajikistan, where he gave the red to Securus. Let's see. So Ricky is there, Morning Wiley, and let's see. Yeah, give him lollipops and tell him to shut up. Talking about parents. Let's see. Ricky and David and Abby and me, and there you go. So yes, so Mebiame has a history and was still calling matches at the U17s after he gave Securus the red. Okay. I think that's going to do it. Once again, just kind of keep an eye on all of our platforms this weekend, and we'll have stuff for you. We're trying to effort more sound out of Qatar. If there's a victory and they're going to continue to play another day, we're going to keep an eye on 17s. We do have national teams that are going to be training in Fayetteville toward the end of the month. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Back at it again on Monday live, and we'll go through everything that happened on the weekend and get you squared away. Once again, we're back into the end of the international window, heavy into CONCACAF on Tuesday, and we're getting you ready for the the next round in MLS Cup playoffs toward the end of next week. So there you go. That is another week of SDH AM. Thanks for hanging out with us, however you've done it. Later today, the 3D with Drew Dickinson coming out. Later today, Soccer for US POD is coming out with Bart Keeler. Thanks to Niko Moreno. Thanks to Nino Torres. Thanks to Michael Parkhurst. Thanks to Bart Keeler for coming on. Thanks to our friends at Corpus Christi FC. You're going to hear that interview again in the Roots this weekend. Thanks to Tyler for coming on to discuss NWSL to ATL. Thanks to Jason Stevens, Kaylor Hodges, Casey White, Gabe Schrei, and Abe Gordon, and Cooper Sanchez. And thanks to all y'all for another go week of SDH AM. It's a very, very busy time. There's a lot of stuff going on. We try to do our best to give it all to you. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Since it is the end of the week, we've made it, people. We get to go out this way like we always do. Much plati, I'll play it safe. We'll catch up with you soon.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress the straight